That's grape.
That's grape.
Why don't you explain the cherries to us in 3 words?
Music, just me.
Okay. What is a cherry?
Well, the Cherries is kind of like a pen name that I use, but the way I actually got it was taking my real first and last name and putting it into an anagram generator. And you can spell the Cherries with all the letters in my first and last name, but it's not very neat because you get 3 extra letters at the end that you just kind of
What are
have
the
to
extra
trim off.
letters? X.
I think there's an X in there.
U.
And yeah, there's a U in there. And I think an extra E, perhaps. But I forget.
But the E can be silent.
Yeah.
The cherries.
The Cherries.
The Ux cherries.
Trust me, I
that's
thought
good,
of this.
Did you like the name the cherries when you found it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Did it feel like it was right in your soul?
Yeah, it was calling to me. And I was definitely looking for a flexible name, as in if anybody ever joined the Cherries or decided to collaborate with me, I wouldn't have to change the name to be like me featuring somebody else. It would just be, oh, we're all the Cherries.
Okay, cool. So what's different between the Cherries and the Beatles?
A lot. A few Grammys, notoriety, you know. The Cherries has yet to be kind of broken in like the Beatles have, you know. There's a long way to go.
How about musically? What's different between the Cherries and the Beatles?
Well,
Or the Eagles?
Or the Eagles, yeah. I think I definitely am actually influenced by the Beatles and Eagles a lot. And but I mean, if I had to list out all my influences, it'd be like 100 different artists. So some people early on said a lot of my stuff sounded like the Beatles, but I was like, that doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah.
Nice. What is your process like when you're writing?
Well, sometimes I like to start with the lyrics. So if I have a good line or piece of poetry in my mind, I like to set it to music. But sometimes I'll like come up with something instrumental and really like that and try to kind of put words to it. So it goes both ways.
Cool. When does when do you find that poetry or lines come to you?
Honestly, I would like to say that it's kind of out of the blue, but it's really just kind of here and there. Like sometimes just a random phrase will come to me while I'm cooking or doing the laundry, and I just kind of add it to a master list of buzzwords on my phone. And then eventually I start to notice that my brain has been subconsciously starting a pattern. And it's kind of like this long train of thought that's been developing for like weeks. And then if I'm lucky enough, I get to sit down and it all kind of comes together. But, you know, sometimes it's not that smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most recent song you released was Santorini, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can you talk about the process of that song or anything you want to talk about that song?
Yeah, so you probably remember when I had pretty bad carpal tunnel for a while.
Yeah.
And it was because I was playing more guitar and violin than I had been playing for any time in my life. I was playing like hours every day.
How many
which
hours?
was probably like 4 hours. And it was bad because there was pretty much no break in between. And I still wanted to play at least a little bit. So I decided to experiment with alternate tunings, which some tunings allow you to play full chords with only one or two fingers. So I thought that might be a good way to take kind of the load off of my fingers for a little bit. And that worked. And while I was kind of messing around with open G tuning, this like really sparkly kind of atmosphere kind of arose. And I just thought, that is so nice. And then just like seemingly out of nowhere, I came up with that first line. I just sang, "Someday I'll be on vacation." And I thought, yeah, that's really what I'm thinking right now.
Right. That seems like it works with the carpal tunnel issue too. Like if you're
Yeah.
just like feel like you're like in it and you're like, ah.
Yeah.
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 Have you been to Santorini?
No.
Well, you
So
gotta go now.
I would like to go. Yes, exactly.
That's like that reminds me of Mexico by James Taylor.
Yeah, yeah. I would sure like to go, but I've never really been.
Same with Paul Simon's Graceland.
Yeah.
Did you know those were like originally dummy lyrics?
Yeah.
And then he was like, dang, I'm not replacing these lyrics. Like, I can't replace these lyrics. And so he's like, I guess I have to go to
Yeah.
Graceland because he'd never been. And so then he wrote the verse lyrics on
Yeah,
the way,
yeah.
which is cool. But it's like, it's so funny how these songs can come and like basically create homework for you or like something.
Oh, it's so true. Like, I used to be so generic with my lyric writing, so I would never even mention specific names or like names of places and locations. And then once I kind of started to let that kind of dumb rule go, I started kind of, yeah, like visualizing all these places, especially places that I've never been to before, and just been like, wow, that's kind of dreamy. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, super cool. Okay, like switching gears a little bit, what's your goal with the Cherries? Your main goal.
My main goal is to discover my true sound, my true style, and share it with as many people as possible.
Love that.
So whoever wants to listen, I'm very glad to make music for them.
Is there anything that you have hopes you have towards what your real sound is?
Yeah, I think it's always been this sort of like, I sort of know what it is, but I could never define it right now, and that's the whole dilemma. But I see artists I love Phoebe Bridgers a lot, and I think a lot of people kind of dog on her for having a very like kind of almost repetitive sound across her discography, but I don't see it that way. I see it as an artist that is fully comfortable with what they're capable of doing and has become a complete master of that sound. And I think that's so beautiful. And I think sometimes when I'm writing my own music, I can be, I don't want to say eclectic, I can be kind of all over the place. And I don't think that's the right way to do things. I think the right way to do things is one thing at a time, do it right, do it all the way.
Interesting. Well, I could say that like your voice probably is eclectic.
Thanks.
It'll probably all come into being like one eclectic thing, but you get at it like...
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Kind of just going, kind of narrowing it
But I know
down.
what you mean. They always say that. They're like, oh, they finally found their sound, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like, I know that exact feeling. Like when we were writing our first album, people were like, oh, you write lots of very different music. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thanks. But yeah, I mean, especially because like you listen to a lot of older music. I know you listen to a lot of Brazilian jazz. You're
Yes.
like really influenced by that. And like, yeah, it's like if you're listening to tons of different artists of like all different genres,
Yeah.
you're gonna have like a lot of influences that are like kind of strange.
And it's so cool to like sometimes especially after you've listened to your own material after it's done, is that you kind of realize, oh, I didn't think about that while I was writing, but this sounds a lot like XYZ. And you just do it unconsciously because you have no choice but to. Like, you're just a result of everything you listen to, everything you see. And it really is that simple, but, we see thousands of things every day, so it all
Yeah.
comes into play.
And they always say great artists steal big, right?
Yeah.
But this is like kind of off topic, but what difference do you see between like you as an artist and like the amalgamation of everything you've listened to coming together in a song you're writing versus like AI using like data oceans to generate something?
I think, honestly, if we're being a little bit kind of mechanical and literal about it, I don't think there is much difference with what AI is at least trying to do and what humans do already and have been doing for centuries. But I think it's just a matter of degree. But I like to talk about the purpose of it. We don't make art for computers to enjoy because they're not going to enjoy it, at least not that we know,
Unless we tell them to enjoy
unless
it.
we tell them to enjoy it. We make it for each other. And the reason why we enjoy art is not only because we're making a connection with it, it's also this understanding that another actual being or group of people took time and lived a life and produced art. And I think that's what gives it meaning. So when people are like, AI could never write a beautiful song or a truly beautiful song or something like that, I don't even think that's true. I think AI can really write a really killer song and people could be fooled. But that's just defeats the entire purpose of art, you know?
Right. Well, so like, what do you think of art for profit?
I think it's whenever I have to talk about or like confront the fact that I need to organize, like, say I'm playing a show and I need to sell tickets, whenever that topic comes up, I just freeze up completely because like expect that I wish I didn't have to think about. But that's just the reality of if you want to do music as a career and that's your primary source of income, source of support. So, but in my mind, I think it's completely separate, but it's hard to keep it separate. There are artists that focus all their energy on touring because they know that's what's going to make them the most money. And there are artists that know that they can spend all their energy in recording in the studio, and that's what's going to profit the most. But I just wish that the focus was completely just on making the best, most creative product that you could create and just let kind of the money be a side effect. But
And
it's
you were
something
saying you're a realist.
you
No,
got
that's
me.
really
You
beautiful.
got
That's
me.
really beautiful.
It's something that I try not to think about, actually. So I'm
Okay, so like let's not think about it. Let's take profit out of it. Like, what does touring sound good to you? Do you like recording? What's your favorite part of making music?
my favorite part is probably recording.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but recently I've been finding a lot of, I guess, gratification and fulfillment in performing. And I think performing is the most I am the most that's the most unexplored territory for me. I think I've spent a lot of time, maybe too much time, by myself recording and writing, and I haven't spent enough time getting out there and kind of, you know, just like breaking myself in, you know?
Cool. How do you separate the Cherries from Chris Shui?
Um,
Like, do you feel a separation?
I think, yeah, maybe a little bit. Uh, I just think when I call it the Cherries, that somehow I allow myself to be more creative. I'm definitely a person that cares what other people think of me, which is something I need to work on. But I think at first that calling myself the Cherries and kind of removing myself at least a little bit and kind of writing from a distance really helped me in being able to be like, you know what? This is a crazy idea, but it's not Christopher doing it. It's just the Cherries doing it, and that's fine. And that's going to be okay if they do it.
Cool. How much do you have a desire for listeners to know you or know about you as Christopher?
It would be really cool if they cared enough to find out.
Yeah.
But if they're already listening, that's just amazing. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about like your music, where to find your music,
Um,
where to find you?
you can find me just on all streaming platforms. I don't put a lot of music out on social media, maybe occasionally, but I'll definitely try to make it easier to find me.
Cool.
As I'll do it as
So it's
to the
at
best
the
of my ability.
Cherries.
The Cherries is what you can search on Apple Music, Spotify, all the streaming platforms, and you can find me on Instagram at Christopher XUE, all one word.
Nice.
Thanks.
Oh, do you want to eat a grape?
Oh, we should. Wait, hold on. Ready? Oh my god. One more time. Last time, I swear. Okay, I'm terrible at this. I'm throwing with my left hand.
Wait, my turn.
Okay, hold on. Backboard.
Grape water. Yeah, well, now we can just eat them. Oh, you wanted me to do it again? Hell yes. Grape face.